During the 1st century AD, the sun rises in the city of Rome. A young boy, Cassius, eagerly awakens, excited for the day. This is a special day for Cassius, because not only is he now 12 years old, but this is the age that his mother will allow him to go to the Colosseum. He gets ready for the day, trying to hide his excitement from his older brothers. He always remembered the light in their eyes when they talked about their first visit to the games. After what feels like an eternity, he and his father head out to the Colosseum. The sight of it isn't new to Cassius, but the feeling in the pit of his stomach is. As they draw near, they start to hear the roar of the crowd, and as they enter, Cassius notices not just the enormity of the arena, but the nobles and well-dressed men of the political suites. All of a sudden the gates open, and the largest man Cassius has ever seen steps out, covered in bronzed armor and wielding a sword and shield. Entering with a swagger and throwing his sword up in the air, the crowd instantly erupts. The energy is electric. And for a moment, Cassius forgets completely about the struggles of his father's shop and even the bullies at his school. For hundreds of years, this is what gladiators provided to the Roman people. And this is their story.
All right, welcome to the Historical Blunders Podcast, where we venture into the most vital topics of history in a way that feels like catching up with an old friend. I'm not Jake.
I am Jake. You're daddy.
I'm father.
Dude, I'm not calling you father.
Please.
So Nate's an ordained minister. If you want to get married and you want to hear a history lesson in the service.
Oh my God, that'd be hilarious.
Did you know this about George Washington?
That would be awesome. They're just going to be like, oh, he's going to do something sweet about our love story. Nope. It's going to be about George Washington.
Stonewall Jackson.
That's great. But yes, today's episode is going to be about gladiators and the Colosseum. Just all the craziness and awesomeness of that.
For glory.
For glory.
For glory. That's right. So the schedule today is going to be, we're going to cover the gladiator timeline to start. Like, when did this all occur? How did it start? We'll go through gladiator culture, what it was like being a gladiator, but also being there alive during the times of gladiators. We'll go through a couple famous gladiators.
Yeah.
And that's going to be pretty cool. A couple legends, right? We'll do trivia, and then we're going to go through the Colosseum.
Because that is fucking awesome.
Because it is awesome.
My wife's been there. I haven't.
Really?
Dude, Becca's a world traveler.
Good for her.
So, yes, awesomely, Shane Gillis, who is one of our favorite comedians and dream podcast guest, is going to be literally 10 minutes down the road from my house. So
in June.
In
right?
June.
So we're going to launch an effort
to
get Shane to do a podcast episode with us.
Because honestly, I feel like hanging out in my basement would be a fun time.
Yeah, I don't know
It'd
if
be a
he
good
would want to
story.
come to your basement. I don't see it.
Okay, fine, we'll go there.
Dude, I just imagine him being over and then like, all right, let's get started. And you open the door to your basement and it's like, what the fuck's going on?
Follow me here.
I'm pretty sure he'd be like, yeah, I'm going to get going.
So the gladiator timeline. So the Roman Republic started around 700 BC, before Copernol. Or maybe Christ, I don't know. We'll allow that. And fell in 470 AD. It's after death.
I don't think it's actually after death, though.
I think it is.
It's not before Christ and after death, like everyone thinks.
Dude, that's what they taught us in school.
Well,
Google that shit. Google that shit.
Thing. Christopher Columbus wasn't a hero either, so.
So, being a gladiator and everything started as a funeral ritual for the rich people.
Yeah.
Like, that to me is just insane.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny because, like, yeah, it started out as that was some kind of, like, religious thing, like, in honor of this rich guy, we're going to have two of his slaves fight to the death. And, like, everyone's like... And then at that point, at some point, a guy in the crowd was like, dude, this is pretty freaking great.
It was the Dana White.
Yeah,
The Dana White of Roman times was like, I could make some money off of this.
So I was gonna talk about that today. Yeah, like here's the thing, right? It's and I wanted to highlight this early on. Like we are talking about a terrible thing.
Yes.
Right.
It's literally
enslaved people being forced into like battling each other for fun.
It's hobo fights or bum fights.
So I mean, and it's one of those things like if you think you're too above that, right? What television shows do you watch that doesn't have any violence or bad stuff happening? You know, it's just pretend, but it's like it's still alluding to the fact that people like to watch fucked up shit.
Yes, really fucked up shit.
So, yeah, I wanted to get that out of the way. It's a terrible thing. It is glorified, obviously. We're going to talk about like a school because, frankly, I would like to see a gladiator fight, but like,
also don't want to watch someone die.
Yeah, I don't really want to watch that part.
Yeah.
So we're going from 700 BC to 470 AD. That's the whole chapter of the Roman Republic, right? So it's about, like you said, it's about 1,000 years, right? But actually, the first guy to get things really going was none other than that one guy, Julius Caesar.
The guy that made the salads.
Yeah. No, his reign began in 65 BC, and in honor of his dead daughter and father, he threw this huge gladiator games in their memory.
That's just such a weird concept.
It's but the thing is, like, the people that went to it must have been like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Because basically after that really starts to build up and then begin the golden age, you would call, of gladiators, right?
Yeah.
So you have the Colosseum being built in 72 AD, and then really up until about 400 AD, the games kept going. So it was hundreds of years of these gladiator games.
Yeah. Well, yeah, 72 AD to, that's 300 years.
Right.
330 years of people fighting to the death.
I would say Caesar probably was the guy who got it really rolling.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not, hey, we don't have to do this just for funerals. We could do this for fun.
We don't have to wait till people die to kill people.
It's like a family reunion, you know? Like
it's the West Virginia of Italy.
Every time you go to like a big family funeral, you know, and you're like, oh, we shouldn't wait till someone dies to get back together again.
That's how they came up with
it's the same thing as the gladiator games.
That's
so many parallels to today's culture.
We just don't murder people for fun. For most of the time.
Depends. We just do it on TV.
Yeah.
But it did end up ending in 400 AD because a couple things. One was the culture was starting to change, right? So especially Christianity was taking off, and Christianity, I don't know if you read the Bible at all. It says not to kill people for fun.
I feel like that's like the first couple pages.
Yeah. Well, first couple pages, Genesis is like...
I don't know. I'm just an ordained minister. You think I read that thing?
The history minister. No, and it, like, they started to think that
human life mattered.
Well, yeah, it was a little paganistic, I think, is what they were getting to.
Yeah.
Like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this kind of shit.
It's barbaric.
So that's kind of the timeline there. Really, from right around AD start to about 400 AD is like really the golden age. And it turned from a funeral ritual to like a more broad sense.
It's like fucking ESPN would be there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny with Julius Caesar's fights in honor of his dead family.
Yeah.
It was like hundreds and hundreds of people like dying. And even his soldiers were like, hey, like
we need them.
This is kind of like, we don't want to die just because you
think my dad wanted to die? Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, the Roman emperors were like all powerful. You know, it's like basically if you could do whatever you want, that's what they were, you know.
You know what's another fun name for emperor? Dictator.
All right, so we're going to move on to gladiator culture. You're going to get a picture of what it was actually like in that life? What is the kind of myths and what are the facts? So to start off, what do you call a happy aviator?
I don't know.
A gladiator. That's a really good one.
That's a good one.
This is really good one. But like we said, gladiators were commonly slaves. Typically, they were prisoners of war. Also, they would have criminals do it, and they would have volunteers do it.
Imagine just what your life would lead up to be like, fuck it, I'll just go be a gladiator.
I think there's a decent amount of... I mean, like, if you could kick some ass and, you know, maybe didn't make the best financial decisions, I could see you doing it.
I guess if you had no other option, just be like, fuck it, I'll be a gladiator.
I think it was commonly a get out of debt card they would play. It was like, hey, we're gonna take your wife and kids and put them in jail, or you could be a gladiator, and they'd be like,
you know,
for glory, and
I could get rid of them. Oh,
so they were a poor class, right? They were not seen at the same level as other people. They didn't have many freedoms. Even when they were popular, they were still kind of treated like a lesser folk, right? In general, their life sucked. You know, they weren't allowed to testify in court. It was kind of like when you took the credo, like you couldn't really be a person again.
Yeah.
It was like you're just a gladiator.
Like, yeah, you'd think like with how much they glorified it, that they'd be like, all right, let's at least like give them a nice meal or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to that. They were well fed, but it wasn't like they didn't get meat.
Yeah.
So, because meat was really expensive and hard to get back then, so usually they lived on a diet of like wheat and barley, and actually they were kind of chubby. So they like purposely made the gladiators kind of chubby because that they say that little bit of fat you could slice that and like not really damage
any vital organs,
right? Because the whole point of a gladiator fight was the spectacle of it, right? So the more like slices you could get with blood coming out,
the better.
Without the guy being like hindered completely, would be better. Like you said, right? That was the point of it. It's supposed to be a fun thing to watch. The more blood, the better. You know.
Well, I mean, look at us in UFC fights.
Right.
They get bloody, and you're like, God damn, this is
like, that's so fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
You see Nate Diaz's face?
Imagine that with a fucking sword.
Right.
Ooh,
yeah.
Ooh.
So if you did win a lot and you survived, you would kind of get up to a different class of gladiator. And they did have a little more freedoms. They could actually leave and come back on their own. They did have female visitors come by.
Ooh la la.
Ooh la la. Wee wee.
Probably stunk. No one really showered.
They probably stunk?
Yeah, no one showered back
How do you know no one showered? That was the Wild West, dude. We cover that in the Wild West episode. How
that was just to prevent disease.
Yeah, they thought that the dirtier you were, your skin wouldn't allow bad bacteria in.
Or just be covered in bad bacteria constantly.
Right. I don't know if I think the Romans bathed. I think they commonly bathed.
Rich people.
We'll talk about a dangerous bath later in this episode. Ooh. So, celebrity gladiators were commonly rented out for company or pleasure.
You either got to fight people to the death or be a gigolo.
Yeah, they were like escorts, so they would be, they would go around and kind of like go on social visits with people and stuff, and like apparently rich woman that were probably married to some fat aristocrat crap. I keep saying aristocrat. God damn it.
Damn it, Disney.
Where's the stick at? We still don't have the stick. I was thinking we should get a Nerf gun, maybe.
No,
or airsoft.
Ooh.
That would hurt. Like a nice airsoft gun. Like not a mean airsoft gun.
Oh. So a Nerf gun.
Yeah, pretty much. So another part, they had really great doctors and physicians, actually. Kind of like, that's a pretty clear parallel to the NFL. Because they really take care of the people like super well.
I tore my ACL and I was out for a while. They tear their ACL and they're like, I'll be out 6 months.
Right. Yeah.
I'll be running.
Magic. They have like a magician basically. So they had this like recurring issue of young men trying to run into the ring during the fights. So they actually had to put laws in place saying you guys can't.
No streakers allowed.
Yeah, it was like that. It was like that because like young men would be like, I could do this. I could totally do this, and they'd like run into the ring and like grab a sword and be like trying to fight the gladiator. Gladiator would be like, what the fuck? So like they didn't get killed, but they got heavy fines and even imprisonment if they ran in there and interrupted the games.
Imagine that. I want to be a gladiator. No, straight to jail.
Yeah. But one more thing on the Brotherhood, there was actually gladiators that would buy each other gravestones, too.
So like, all right, I killed him. I'll buy him a gravestone.
Yeah, isn't this sad?
It's a bit morbid.
So one other thing, the death rate wasn't nearly as high as you might think.
I know, like growing up, like hearing about gladiators, like you just figured that everyone was just dead all the time.
Right.
There's nothing but death.
It's not quite that way.
I mean, there was still a lot of death, but
so it depends on the era, especially because it changed a lot. So there was times where it was like 20% of the time they would die. There was times it would be like 10% of the time they would die. And actually towards the end, it was almost like they completely banned the executions in the games.
Well, yeah, because wasn't it like for a while they're like, even if like they called the fight and you lost, you got killed.
So the common thing was actually like the Gladiator movie, right? So it was if a gladiator was kind of beat and he couldn't do anything else, like he was probably heavily injured, he could kneel down and put a finger up in the air, and that was his like tap out. And at that point, it would turn to the emperor to basically say like kill the guy, or like mercy, But the crowd really would decide. He would always end up doing whatever the crowd was trying to say.
Dude, imagine having that power, and then you're like, "Do I kill him?" And the crowd's like, "Woo!" You're like, "Fuck yeah,
get him!" Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. It's just funny that like at the end of it, they completely cut out the executions because it was for two reasons I wanted to highlight. Well, number one, Christianity was building up, right? And to make it more palpable with that kind of, train of thought, they wouldn't do the execution. But also, it was a lot of times they would be pissed about, like, because they got really into, like, certain characters, basically.
Well, yeah.
Like, it was like imagine Joe Burrow was in the ring, right? Like everyone loves Joe Burrow. I love
Joe Shiesty,
especially your team. But at the end of the game, if they were like, "Dude, Patrick Mahomes beat him, and we're gonna execute him now," you wouldn't be very happy about it.
No, we sacrificed Patrick Mahomes for the greater.
You wouldn't get to choose it because he would probably win.
I know, I'd be sad.
So, I just think it was funny that like they banned executions because of people getting pissed at their like favorite guys getting killed.
Well, I mean, imagine the money they were making off of everything.
Oh, yeah. Well, so, yes, but also every time they killed someone, every time they killed a gladiator, that was the loss in investment.
Yeah.
So, they didn't get killed as much. So, if they did execute the gladiator, the way they would do it was the gladiator would kneel down and put his head forward, and then they would drive the sword through the back of his neck into, like, his heart, was the intent.
Jesus Christ.
Like a quick death.
Yeah, it sounds very quick.
And that's actually how they portray it. And it's so funny, like, thinking about Gladiator now and how not inaccurate it is compared to the last, like, historical movie we did with Braveheart and how crazily inaccurate it was.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, Gladiator's pretty darn good.
It just wasn't a real character.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. So on that note, right, even more credence to Gladiator, a successful gladiator would get the rudis, which was a wooden sword, if they won a bunch of fights and they really won the crowd over. And a rudis meant that they had their own freedom. And they could either accept it or reject it or whatever.
And we're going to be talking about a circumstance where
badass dude.
A dude was a badass. Yeah.
So they did definitely focus on having different classes and groups. So, like, to change it up, it was like you had the fisherman group, and they had a trident and a net. And then you had the heavy guy who had heavy armor, and he was really slow and strong.
But if he caught you with that sword, you were fucked.
Yeah. So like they had all these different kinds of classes that had like strengths, and it was like Pokemon, you know?
Yeah.
I always bring Pokemon into this.
Always Pokemon.
But it was they did a lot to kind of mix up the action. Like they would also throw
it became entertainment.
Yeah, they would throw unique things in there. Like they'd have one guy with a trident on top of a hill with rocks, and he would have to throw rocks to fight off the two heavily armored guys. So like it was kind of they would change it up. That's what I mean. It's hard to not be like, I would go to those freaking games.
Yeah.
You know. So they did use animals, even like Gladiator movie showed.
Yeah.
But they were pretty rare. They didn't do a ton of it regularly. They were usually used to open the games. They would have a guy come fight an animal or something, or animals fight each other.
Yeah.
Was a common thing. Or they would use, animals to execute criminals.
That's a good way to get rid of them.
Which would be kind of cool. But that's kind of like...
Bring that back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Death penalty. Death by lion.
Yeah. So that's kind of the culture of Gladiators, to kind of give a picture of what it was like and some of the nuances of it. But we're going to move on from this to famous gladiators. And to start this off, we're going to talk about Flamma.
So yes, Flamma.
Kind of a loser name.
But it meant the flame.
Even that. I don't know. Flame on!
Dude, the Human Torch is awesome. Chris Evans was the best Human Torch.
Is there more than one?
Yeah.
Who else was the
Michael
Human
B.
Torch?
Jordan.
I don't remember. Oh.
In the one with
I don't
Miles
think anyone
Teller
watched that movie.
Oh, it's not horrible.
Oh.
But I like Chris Evans. So yes, Flamma was a Syrian-born gladiator who not much is known about his early life and everything, but he rose up during Emperor Hadrian. So that was 117 to 138 AD. But he's best known because he fought for a long time for a gladiator.
Oh, yeah.
Like, reading about him was awesome. Like, this dude's just a badass.
Yeah, of the gladiators we'll talk about, this is the hardcore badass gladiator of gladiators.
Yeah. So he was actually awarded his freedom, the Rudis, the wooden sword, 4 times, and then kept turning it down. That's why I feel like he just literally had nothing. And this was his.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the case with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, what do you got? You've been a gladiator, you've been trained for years, to
fight.
do this. And then, what you get your Rudis, so you're not going to go make shoes or something.
Like, the only thing you know how to really do is fight.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the only world, and also, your community, too, right? The people that you're friends with, that you're close with, are all gladiators.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the only thing this guy basically knew. But yeah, he actually won, or finished, 34 matches.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah. And they said that, most of them, though, were in Sicily. It's not at the Colosseum.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, he is known as the most successful gladiator.
Flame on.
So yes, he had 34 matches.
Do you have red hair?
No. I don't know. I've only seen him with his helmet, and his helmet is awesome.
Dude, okay, but that's just a picture of him. I don't know if that's actually his helmet or not.
I think he had brown hair.
Okay.
I really don't know why they call him the Flame.
The Flame.
But yeah, so 34 times he fought. He won 21 of them. That's pretty sick.
I would think a badass would win more, honestly.
20 out of 34 fights to the death, he won 21 of them.
That's 4 over 500. Right?
That's exactly 4 over 500 in fights to the death. I mean, obviously he was popular.
Oh yeah, people loved him.
Yeah, they're not going to kill him. Yeah. 13 reprieves, so when they decided to spare his life.
Ah.
Yeah. That's pretty insane.
Yeah, he obviously won over the crowd a lot, seems like.
Obviously, he's a badass.
He's a badass.
But yeah, so basically, the big thing with him is that it shows how, at mercy you are with the umpires, the emperor's choosing if you live or die. Because, I mean, yes, he won 21, but he still did lose.
Right,
13.
especially if the crowd likes you. Yeah. You're probably not going to die.
Yeah. But ironically, he died at the age of 30.
Yeah, past your prime for a running back.
Yeah, that's what we want, sir.
You think it's harder to be a running back or a gladiator? Man, running backs aren't paid well either, man.
Maybe they're the gladiators of the NFL.
Dude, that's a good way to put it, man.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's pretty crazy that, like, he's so successful and so celebrated, and then he, like, died in a battle. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess that's what you should expect happen.
In battles to the death, usually somebody dies.
But, like, it's just sad that it actually I wonder if the guy who did it was like, fuck this guy, man. They're not actually going to kill this guy if it comes to his little finger up move, It's like, I'm just going to do it myself. And he, like, stabbed his throat or something, I think.
Yeah.
But he was a heavy armor guy, too.
Yeah, so the picture
dude.
I found of him.
He's a big dude.
He is a big dude.
Big dude.
But, so the thing is, the armor that these gladiators wore were usually pretty ornamental.
Yeah.
Especially the more popular you were, because, like, this dude's helmet was just, like he was all helmet. He looked like the fucking, Lord Helmet from Spaceballs. Like, it was just helmet. And then a big belly.
Do you remember the big fight in Gladiator? Do you think it was that guy? Probably. It must have been.
That's who I picture.
Yeah. I know, me too. Right? Because like that cool mask on it, where he looks so peaceful.
It's like that with them. Yeah, dude. Those helmets look so fucking
Makes me want to watch the movie again. All right, let's move on to Spartacus, huh? All right. First, before we move on, we're going to have a word from our sponsor.
Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in a world who is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp.com.
That's right, Nate. BetterHelp's mission is to make therapy more affordable and more accessible. And this is an important mission because finding a therapist can be hard, especially when you're limited to the options in your area. Yeah, I'm really glad we chose BetterHelp as a sponsor for this podcast because I've had people in my own life that have struggled with mental health and anxiety and depression. And therapy was something that definitely helped them overcome those struggles. And now they're in a much better place.
Yeah, I mean, I use BetterHelp, and so far, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really talking about you.
Oh.
BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote, and by filling out a few questions, BetterHelp can match you to a professional therapist in as little as a few days.
And sometimes faster. It only took a couple hours for me.
That's right. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in our description. It's betterhelp.com/historicalblunderspod.
All one word.
That's right. Clicking that link helps support this channel, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp so you can connect with a therapist and get the support that you need.
And because finding a therapist is a little like dating, if you don't really fit with that therapist, which is a common thing with therapy, you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost without stressing about insurance, who's in network, or anything like that.
So if you're struggling, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the description or visit betterhelp.com/historicalblunderspod.
And that's betterhelp.com.
So Spartacus was a Thracian soldier around 100 BC. So this is back in the times of they were really not doing it as like a big event yet.
Ceremonial.
But they still had gladiators. So this was before Julius Caesar's time.
Not the salad.
So they didn't have the salad. So Spartacus was a slave. And he did not enjoy the whole being forced to be a gladiator thing.
What?
So he was known to be very he was a high caliber person though. He was very charismatic, he was courageous, and he was also very surprisingly militaristically strategic. But he was also super compassionate. Like he was a leader of men, I would say. right? He had a no man left behind attitude, and it really like resonated, especially with his like community of gladiators, right?
Yeah.
So he was sold into slavery, and he was trained as a gladiator in Italy. And like many slaves, he was subjected to harsh treatment, especially where he was at. It was particularly like intense how they treated their people. So it was really grueling, and he had very limited freedoms. It was not like life sucked for Spartacus in that sense. So Spartacus, being a badass like his name, started a rebellion.
You gotta do it.
And he escaped from the gladiator training school along with 70 other slaves.
So he was a gladiator school dropout.
In a sense, yeah. He was doing shot put and just didn't enjoy it anymore.
How can you not? Shot put's so much fun.
So when this happened, and he got the 70 slaves with him that he left with, and what they did was they started to go around to other like enslaved areas and like would recruit. Yeah, they would.
What is up with these?
Break them free.
Yeah.
What do you call it? I'm losing it. Liberate.
There you go.
Yeah, he would go around to these other places that
these
had
charismatic
slaves.
guys, you know. They talk a good game, and then you're like, God damn it, I'm gonna do anything for this guy.
Yeah, I mean that's what William Wallace did too.
William Wallace, Napoleon,
right?
Hitler.
So when this happened, this really sparked the beginning of what's called the Gladiator War. So this like went on for a while.
Yeah.
And for a long time, Rome didn't really take it seriously. Like they kind of kept their armies elsewhere, focusing on other area stuff. But they should have, because it was getting out of hand with his like built up of slaves in the middle of Rome.
Yeah. Yeah, it went crazy fast.
So eventually they end up growing to tens of thousands of followers. Like that's like an army. You know, that's pretty darn good. And he was known for his like very strategic acumen and guerrilla type tactics, which, as we've talked about a couple times now, especially in
Guerrilla warfare.
Dude, guerrilla warfare almost always works.
Yeah.
Like,
well, especially even now with soldiers being trained in guerrilla, it still works.
It still works.
But yeah, back then, you know, still marching and everything.
Yeah, so
don't march into battle.
Right. So his legacy is really like romanticized and celebrated because like he's the ultimate symbol of resistance against tyranny and oppression. Like he wasn't even like this huge guy or anything. He was super in shape. Like he was just very intelligent, charismatic, a good leader, you know.
Yeah.
And he really like lit a fire under everyone. And then he died. So eventually Rome was like, that's enough of that shit. And under the command of Marcus Licinius Crassus in 71 BC, Spartacus died in battle. And it was a pretty detrimental battle.
Well, yeah,
obviously.
Spartacus.
Not just Spartacus, a lot of his following died. So after they did die, to be made an example of, all the people that were captured in that battle were crucified. So we're talking about thousands of slaves crucified on I forgot what it's called, but I think it's the Appian Way. Oh, it's like a big road leading to Rome, and they just like had tons and tons of crucifixes to try. I mean, they wanted to put an example out, right? If you're a slave, just be a slave.
Yeah.
Don't
get any ideas. So
just do it quick.
Crixus is also a very famous gladiator, but also was Spartacus's like right-hand man. Like they both were part of it, but he was a Gaelic gladiator, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So that'd be like Irish, Scottish.
Oi.
He called a lot of people cunts as he cut them down.
Cunt.
But yeah, so he was enslaved by the Romans and everything, trained as a gladiator. And his name in Gaulish is one with curly hair. So he must have been a curly-headed fuck.
That's a weird.
Yeah, I know.
What if he didn't get curly hair? Like, what if you give your kid that name and then they have straight hair?
I don't know if that was his born name.
It's a bold move.
Or if that was just the name they gave him. So yeah, he started his small slave revolt. Got about 70 gladiators escaped, which I feel like...
So he was with Spartacus.
I don't know it right away, but he did...
Ended up joining him?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I interrupted.
It's okay. So basically, he was Spartacus's right-hand man. They were both very intelligent, military-minded. I mean, you were basically taught how to fight.
Yeah.
And him and Spartacus eventually built their following and like their numbers up to about 150,000 people.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's
like,
a lot.
They had a fucking army.
That's an army.
Yeah.
That's a good army.
So they separated Spartacus and Crixus. They don't know why it happened. The theorized reasons for this was that they were going to basically plunder the Roman countryside, like split up and like divide and conquer at first. Like that was one theory. And then another one was that they just kind of had differences.
Sure.
And so Crixus...
Creative differences.
Yeah. So Crixus was like, I'm going to take these guys and we're going to go over here. Well...
we're going to play by ourselves.
Crixus was killed in battle before Spartacus was. And so Spartacus actually had held gladiator games in Crixus' honor. So it's like,
that's really weird.
I know, we're free from being gladiators, but you died. So I'm gonna force some people to be gladiators.
I wonder if the religious aspect.
But it was captured Romans, so it wasn't their people.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fairly hypocritical.
So the numbers are 300 to 400 Romans were sacrificed in Crixus' honor.
That is kind of a funny way to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
We're free from being slaves, but let's slave some people.
It's like the Hunger Games.
Yeah. So I really don't know if their armors actually look like the pictures I found, but those are just the pictures I found, and it made me happy.
I think Crixus' name is cooler than Spartacus's. Crixus.
Didn't you make me watch the Spartacus show with you, and it was like nothing but tits?
Dude, it was basically softcore porn.
Yeah. Like, oh no, I'm back for more.
Dude, it's one thing, you can't watch it by yourself because that's just weird.
You made me watch it with you.
You need your friend sitting by you thigh to thigh. You know?
You were on the other side of the room.
Little thigh contact.
But I do remember.
Maybe that was just in my dream.
I believe it's time for...
Hello.
Hello. Is this Charlotte?
This is she.
This is she.
I'm here with Nate. Nate, say hi.
Hi, Charlotte.
Hi.
Can you hear me good?
I hear you just fine.
All right, awesome.
Go ahead, Nate. You can start.
I can start?
Yeah.
All right. So, Charlotte, over and under. Was it over 200,000 people over and under that have died in the Colosseum?
What was that question?
I don't know. I've been drinking.
Over under 200,000.
Yeah, over and under 200,000 people have died in the Colosseum.
The under.
No.
It was over.
Roughly 400,000.
400,000 people died in there.
Yeah, that's a lot of fucking people.
Okay. How many fights would a gladiator last on average? Over or under 5?
Like under 5.
It was actually over. So they would typically, after 10 fights, they would be killed.
Damn.
Was typically, which was on par, like what we said earlier. It's like about a 10% to 20% like death rate usually.
How many Olympics were held in the Colosseum?
Olympics?
Yeah, how many different Olympics?
Ooh.
I didn't even know they held Olympics there.
I think they did.
This is what I mean. Nate's questions.
It's
man.
not. They didn't do the entire Olympics but the Colosseum was the was the focal point.
I guess it would make sense to do it there. They could also have a Taylor Swift concert there too.
I would go to that concert. I would go to that concert.
No, Taylor Swift death metal at the Colosseum. I'd go see that.
That would be funny. Yeah. What was your question again?
Jesus Christ. How many
Olympic games
yeah.
did they hold?
Yeah.
Well, let's see. The Colosseum was built 70 something AD, and it was there for like probably 500 years. So let's say 120 games.
How fucking stupid are you?
I'd say maybe one.
The Colosseum is still there. You're like, well, it's been there for 500 years.
Yeah, but only like in use.
Do you know where the Olympics started? In Greece.
You're being really mean about this.
Jackass.
Okay, why don't you just answer?
Charlotte's closer. It's 1932 and 1984. We're held in Rome, but the Colosseum.
How many games were held there?
Yeah, the Olympic Games. 2.
Only 2.
Yes. They don't repeat a lot of cities.
Oh, I thought they were just continuously held there.
No.
Even back then, they did it. They moved
It's because
around country to
it was in
country.
Greece. No.
No,
Greece.
I didn't start till,
Yeah.
Ooh,
Probably
modern.
modern. That'd be a fun one. I don't even know when it actually started hopping.
So
but-
here's the truth. I am not like I have never like if I don't research a topic beforehand, I don't know anything.
Oh, this is
Like
gonna be fun.
I have such a huge like history gap in knowledge. But when we cover a topic, I usually get pretty good at just that. But if you ask me something outside of there, I don't know shit. Like I've never really been into history until like now. All right. So did women ever participate in the gladiatorial games?
I know this.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. That's right. They were called Amazonians. And they were like a brief chapter in gladiator history.
Is that where Wonder Woman came from? Isn't that what she is?
No, what's her name? That's where I don't know.
Isn't Wonder Woman an Amazon?
Yeah.
Yes, woman is the Amazon.
Thank you, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Our
I don't
mother's
know.
Queen of Pop.
She's the queen of pop, just like Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
We
not
love
country
Taylor
anymore.
Swift.
All right, here is the hardest question you'll ever have in trivia.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic name.
What's the address of the Colosseum?
What the fuck? You just God, you pissed me off so much. If you weren't,
got me off so much.
he pisses me off so much.
I do ridiculous
Like
questions.
his questions are so stupid. Like, how am I supposed to know? Like,
I don't
what's the address of the Coliseum?
You
I
don't know?
What color underwear am I wearing?
I don't know. Do you even know?
Actually, I don't think I do know. I think it's blue.
Pull them out.
You want to see?
Yeah, let's see. Are they blue?
Don't mind this part.
All right, guys, place your bets. Place your bet. Oh shit, they are blue.
Remember, I am a soldier, so this is not uncommon for me.
I was just say, yeah. Charlotte's ex-military or in the military. I shouldn't say ex-military. She's in the. She's
What branch are you in?
National Guard, Army National Guard.
All
Field
right.
Artillery.
She's a captain.
Captain.
Oh yeah,
Oof.
she's
I'm a captain.
badass. All right, I'm gonna take the next question here.
You didn't even let me give the answer.
Oh yeah, well, what's the answer to your impossible question?
Piazza del Coliseo won Roma.
I'm surprised. That was really good.
Yeah.
I think you said that really well.
I did. It's because I've been drinking.
Uh,
It's the rumple.
false confidence.
Yes.
All right. Has an emperor ever taken part in the games?
I thought you mean taking part as in they actually were in thing, or I would think they were sitting part of the entertainment, but I didn't know. I don't think they. Oh no, maybe.
So
It's
it's actually a really cool story, and we could do like a whole episode on this freaking guy. But Emperor Commodus, who is the character in Gladiator,
Joaquin Phoenix.
yeah, right, Joaquin Phoenix. He actually was a real emperor, and he actually was a complete loser. He would go in the Colosseum like frequently and go in there and have fights with gladiators and would give them wooden swords and like would fight them and kill them and stuff and be like, look how great I am. Whoa. And like it was so obvious. It was like It was like they couldn't do anything because he was the emperor. So like he just kept doing stuff like that. He was like super infatuated with the gladiator games. Like even on his own home compound, he had like a little mini Colosseum, and he would have gladiator fights there.
That's pretty sweet.
Like he was obsessed with that fact of it. It's kind of like today, if like Joe Biden was like, you know what, I'm gonna play football.
I want to watch that.
And he would like do a kick return and run it all the way back and be like, I'm the greatest. But like, yeah, the Emperor Commodus guy was a real dude. And yeah, it was pretty. He ended up getting killed in his own bathtub. Like there was a revolt against him and he got drowned in his
Dude,
bathtub.
I feel like that'd be the worst place to die.
I think everyone knew he was such a loser too.
Yeah, he took baths.
All right. Do you have another question that's super hard to answer?
So Maximus from the Gladiator, was that a real person?
I don't think he was real. I think he was based on someone, though.
He wasn't a real person, so yeah, you got that. Damn
She
it.
was right.
I gave her an easy one.
I'm surprised. You never give me the easy ones.
That's because I don't like you.
Damn you!
You gave him
You
all
give
the
him
easy
the easy
ones.
ones.
Hip hop anonymous. Love that shit.
All right, I got one more.
And then
And
she's
we'll-
got to
and then
give
we'll
us.
do
Yeah, and then
Charlotte's,
she's
yeah.
got to give us her question.
How long would a gladiator train prior to entering the ring? Say like a year.
How many years?
Yeah, how long would they train?
6.
No.
Ooh,
Oh,
2.
Yeah, that's more like it. It varied on what the kind of person they were getting, if they were like combat trained or not. But it would typically be between 1 and 3 years. So
hot damn too.
yeah, that's pretty good. All right, Charlotte, it's your turn.
You stop inviting smart people onto our show.
How many questions am I allowed?
You are allowed as many questions as you want.
I got one that's actually gladiator related that got brought up when I asked somebody about gladiators. What happened to gladiators after they were done with fights if they were moneymakers?
When they were done with fights, what would they do if they were money makers? For making money?
If they were the champions that made all the money, what would their sponsors do with them?
They got showered by beautiful women.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't know. I give up.
Actually, yes. They
Oh,
would
shit.
get showered in money and their pleasures before they got killed. And as soon as they stopped making money, they were done.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now I'm learning something.
Violence and sex coincide.
It's
Yeah,
That's just
thing, actually.
just like the Spartacus show.
yes. Yeah, I feel like
Disappointing.
I don't know more than you do.
Yeah, you usually with history stuff, you know a lot more than me.
Uh,
And also, I don't know if you formulate questions well.
Mhm.
Because like no one has a chance with your questions.
That's just been my
What's the address of the Colosseum?
that's just not common knowledge.
You know what? I'm gonna start asking questions like that.
Don't,
I don't
because
give
that's
a
my
fuck.
thing.
All right, I got an easy one for you.
All right.
What did the Romans base their mythology off of?
Greeks.
I would say Greeks.
That is correct. Can you name any of the ones that coincide with each other?
Yeah. There's like slight differences, and I always hate it at trivia on Mondays because they're like Greek mythology. I'm like, okay. And then they're like Roman mythology. I'm like, I don't fucking know. So I guess, and they're like, close. I'm like, fuck you guys.
Do the Romans have like the same gods as the
They
Greeks?
like tweak things just a little.
Is that
They
right?
do,
Yeah.
your planets are actually named after Roman gods.
Yeah.
I didn't know. That.
Saturn, you know. Then
Neptune?
Pluto is Hades.
Yeah. Pluto is Hades.
Neptune is Poseidon.
Yep.
Uranus is actually in both Greek and
Earth is Era, and what's the other one?
No, Earth is Earth. You're wrong.
I'm gonna punch you in
Earth
the
isn't
face.
really. Venus is Aphrodite and Venus.
Yep.
Mars is 80. It's also Aries. And,
God of War.
Yep. He was war of the actual battle. Fun fact about Ares: Ares versus Athena. Athena was also a goddess of war, but she was war strategy instead of Ares, who just liked to go into the battle, be bloody, and then cry as soon as he got wounded.
Sounds like a loser.
He really was. The Greek mythology is quite hilarious. Yeah, Zeus was Juno, which was Saturn.
Yep.
And I don't know anybody who doesn't know stories about Zeus and his inability to keep in his pants.
Well, but the thing is, Pluto was from Mickey Mouse, though. Right? He's the dog.
That is where Pluto got the name, yes, but they knew.
Yeah, that's where the planet Pluto got the name.
Yeah. But yes, it's Hades.
Hades.
What?
He literally got named after the god of the dead, not death. The underworld and the dead.
Yep.
No, but Pluto is
I'm
not
gonna fight
Hades.
you.
Fun fact, the Romans actually lost the battle due to the fact that their opponent decided to shove all their women out without their shirts on.
Dude, that would distract me so much.
That's the last thing that I expected you to say.
That's very strategic.
So wait, the enemy put out their women with shirts off?
Yeah, so they were all hanging out.
And so
And
dudes
the,
are
and
just
the
like,
Romans lost that?
boobies.
The Romans lost.
And that's exactly what they did. They just...
Those guys are geniuses.
Dude.
And also, they're not very nice to their wives.
No.
We need you to do something.
We really do appreciate you calling in, Charlotte.
It's been a lot of fun.
I said, if you ever have Greeks, I will happily have trivia on Greeks.
All right. Ligers. Ligers are real, apparently.
Yeah,
Napoleon drew
ligers
them.
are real.
We talked about that at work, and I didn't know that ligers were real.
Yeah, they're just lions and tigers that are bred together.
Yeah, they apparently can't have their own babies or something.
You basically make it, and then they can't reproduce, I think.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
what Charlotte told me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
I didn't think it was relevant. Yes. Thanks, Charlotte.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining. Have a nice night.
You too.
Yes. All right, so we're going to talk about the Colosseum now because, we spent the time talking about the gladiators, the culture. We had Charlotte on for trivia, which was awesome. So the Colosseum was not built in a day because of Red Bull, according to the commercial. It actually... What?
That's a good one.
Yeah. 7 and 8 years, which still back then is insane.
It was built in 7 to 8
7 to 8 years.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, that is insane.
It helps when you have thousands of slaves.
Slaves, yeah. Slaves make things easier.
Just look at the pyramids.
Yeah. Thanks, Jews. And
Jews?
yeah, the Jews were the slaves of the Egyptians.
I feel like I should know this.
You should know that.
That's like a Christian thing, right? Oops.
I don't know if it's a Christian, but yeah. Because that's who
Pharaoh.
Moses.
Oh, baby.
Wasn't it?
That's what I mean. I should probably
Yeah,
know
Moses
this.
freed the Jews
Yeah.
from Egypt
Oops.
and parted the Red Sea, right?
Yeah, I didn't know. I don't know how the pyramids go into that.
I am not a church person.
I know that.
You are.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
what happened, right? Moses freed the Jews.
So yes.
And it was-
That absolutely. As far as when the pyramids were put together,
But I'm pretty sure that was
Jacob's not sure.
Jacob's not sure.
I don't know when the pyramids were put together in relation
But
to
yes,
Moses.
it was the Jews. They were the slaves of.
God, now I am curious. What AD or
I don't
BC
know.
was Moses?
I don't know. Well, it would be.
Man, I should know this.
No, Moses was after Christ, wasn't he?
No. You're
Wasn't?
way off. You're way off. Moses was way before Jesus.
Oh, then yeah. So that'd be way.
Moses was like the OG prophet.
So yes, the Colosseum was only built between 7 and 8 years, which, yes, they used slaves, is insane because of how massive of a structure it is.
It's very impressive.
It is very impressive.
Like me at the gym.
Yeah. It's made of stone and concrete, and as we all know, the Roman concrete is legit shit. Is 189 meters long, so that'd be 3 times 190. What would that be? 270. 570 feet. The Colosseum has 80 different entrances, which is kind of cool.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. Like, imagine if an NFL stadium had 80 entrances.
I don't think that's good.
Why?
Well,
Back then they weren't, checking tickets.
they also weren't checking for guns, probably.
Guns didn't exist.
Yeah, I'm well aware. Thanks,
Dumbass.
Thanks, Daddy.
Father. But yeah, so obviously the point was getting people in to watch the fights.
Yeah.
Watch everything. And so, yes, you wanted to make it accessible.
That's the other thing we didn't talk about is for all Romans, the Colosseum Gladiator games were free.
Yeah.
They didn't charge. It was really just a play by the emperor to say, look at how great I am as an emperor.
Yeah.
Please don't overthrow me. Look at how fun these games are.
Yeah, it was basically, I'm showing you a good time, right?
Yeah, we're cool.
Don't kill me.
Don't kill me. Don't overthrow me, Yeah,
it's
cool.
So roughly it would fit about 50,000 people.
That's a lot.
It is. Well, in modern day, the big house at University of Michigan fits a little over 100,000. That is the biggest stadium.
And that's packed in there.
It is.
They get people
awesome.
side to side. I bet it is awesome.
Dude, it's so awesome.
Have you been there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Go
nice.
blue. All right. So, yes, the Colosseum had 80 different entrances to allow a shit ton of people to come in very fast. Be able to host up to 50,000 people. They had, gladiator battles, wild animal hunts. So that is where, so there is a huge number of people that have died in the Colosseum, but also a very large number of animals. Upwards around 10,000 animals have been killed in a single day in the Colosseum.
Yep.
But they also used lions, tigers, elephants. I don't know what the fuck that is. Rock. Bears, leopards, rhinos, hippos, bison, and crocodiles. That had to have been a fucking wild time.
Crocodiles aren't like native to Europe, are they?
Saltwater. Mediterranean, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Becca, when you listen to this part of the episode, let me know where crocodiles come from.
And also, Nate loves you very much.
And I do love you. God damn it. So also on top of animals being
on top of
animals. Let me take a drink.
Yeah, take your cough medicine. McGillicuddy.
That's not McGillicuddy's.
That's Rumplemints.
That's Rumplemints. 100 proof.
Oh boy.
All right. So on top of animals being killed there, they also did in fact have naval battles, staged naval battles inside the Colosseum where they would flood the Colosseum.
Which is wicked awesome.
Which is awesome.
So I'll say this. It sounds wicked awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think
It was.
like the plan was really cool, but then they did it and it was just like a swamp?
I feel like the
like-
first one was pretty cool, and then after they came back the next day for whatever event, and they're like, oh, it's the boats again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
The ships didn't really move.
Well, so they had really shallow ships.
Yeah,
right?
it was
very
5
flat
feet of
bottom.
water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was probably enough to get a boat moving.
Ship to move.
But like, did it also just look like a mud pit? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it was better than that. But I tell you what, I wasn't there.
I was not there, but I did include a picture. We'll put that on.
But the fact they did it's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
what a
we'll-
unique entertainment.
We'll throw the picture on Facebook.
Imagine if they had an NFL game and they swamped the field.
Flood the field,
Like-
and then had boats out there shooting each other and fighting. That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
Like, go run a screen now, bitch.
Yeah. Run this post route. Oh no, a boat.
There's a pirate with a cannon.
It'll be at the Buccaneer Stadium. They already have a boat there.
Oh god.
But yeah, so
Shane Gillis, check us.
shamelessly plugging Shane Gillis.
Shane Gillis, check us out.
So yes, as we mentioned earlier, the Colosseum's events were free. They were often organized and paid for by the emperors, to promote themselves. They offered free food, and for some of the poor people, like
That's pretty good deal.
That's gonna win them
Yeah.
some brownie points.
Free food. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So the first ever games were held in 80 AD under the Emperor Titus.
Nice name.
I know, that's kind of a cool name. Ran for 100 days straight. That's a long fucking time. It's a third of the fucking year of just straight gladiator fights.
Sounds expensive.
So the Colosseum was, an architectural, like,
Feet.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it was insane. But they also had awnings to help protect from the sun. So you could sit there all day and watch people fight.
Which is really cool, and they still don't have that today at Soldier Field.
So last fact of the Colosseum is that they had a bunch of underground passages and just like hidden rooms and stuff where the animals and gladiators were kept. And I think that's pretty cool.
It is cool.
Yeah. But supposedly they had 36 trap doors in the arena
So
special effects.
Also, when they did that, they had to get rid of the naval battles.
Well, yeah. Obviously, if you open a door, the water's going to go somewhere.
Yeah, all those corridors down there had to be put in place. They had to give up the naval battles. The naval battles actually ended up moving to a nearby lake, and they actually still did stuff out there.
Which would be awesome to see.
It would be awesome. It'd probably be harder to see, right?
Well, yeah, because you're not in the stands literally watching
I think it'd be cooler in the
the
stadium.
Colosseum. Yeah.
I think if I sat out there at the lake and watched two fake boats attack each other, I'd be like, "This is stupid." I don't. What?
Well, they were real boats. They were just.
I know.
It was just
Yeah,
a staged naval. Like, it was still cool. It'd be cool to see.
It would be cool to see.
I've always thought that fact of the Colosseum was awesome.
So here's the thing with the Roman gladiators in general, right? It would be cool to see.
It would be cool to see.
Doesn't mean it was right,
No, it
but
was
this
not
is
right at
history, right? History is full of things that were not right.
all of history.
Yeah. I mean,
There really wasn't much done right in history.
yeah.
Even today, things aren't
Even
done
today,
right.
absolutely.
So yeah, that's our episode on Gladiators.
I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to find out more, go to our Facebook page or our Twitter page. We are under Historical Blunders for both of those. Historical Blunders podcast for Facebook. Also on YouTube, TikTok. Yeah, if you guys are interested, contact us through there. If you want to be a part of trivia, also reach out to us. In any of those formats, including
We are loving
Facebook.
the new format for trivia.
Yeah, it's fun. But other big news is coming. We also are considering a name change
For the show, yes.
I think we're pretty confident in what it's going to be at this point. So I think we'll be announcing and giving a little more clarity in the next episode. But that is something that's coming, is a name change to the show.
Yes.
Anyways, hope you guys had a nice week, and we'll see you in a little bit.
All right. Bye.